Hey guys, Eric here outside at the Bethlehem Golf Club. In today's video, we're going to talk about how to start the swing. A lot of you guys have been asking about this. We're going to talk about that today, and really how to start the swing so you're more dynamic, sequence your swing better, ultimately hit the ball more solid and farther. And as you can see, I'm not here by myself. Mr. Josh Koch to my right here. Josh is one of the top long drive guys in the entire world. Just saw him hitting a couple of balls. You're going to see in a little bit. He hits it super far. Great golf coach. And today he's going to talk with us here today about how to start the backswing. So Josh, I'm going to hop over here and let's talk a little bit. And I saw a couple of your videos on your Instagram, and we'll link all the info and we'll talk about that below, about how to start the backswing.
Yeah.
So if someone would come in and they just kind of asked you that, Josh, it's a general question. I'm standing over the ball. I'm ready to go. What are the things or top couple pieces I'm looking for to get started?
Yeah, that's a great question. One that took me years to kind of figure out, and it's a lot easier than most people think. So it starts as early as a setup. So once we get into the setup, one of the most important things is making sure that there's some type of movement in the feet, some type of waggle. Because what this is going to set us up to do is actually load our feet or our pressure left to then push off of that and get the momentum moving back to the right.
Yeah,
so,
and I think that loading off the left and then pushing back into the right is something that's fairly known in our coaching community.
Right.
But I don't know if we walk down the range that many of the normal golfers would know that. And we were talking a little off camera about like, hey, you need something to push off of, right? And so that pushing off the left and then working into the right is a fairly common pattern you see amongst pretty much all good ball strikers.
Oh yeah, I mean, very evident with like a Rory McIlroy, for example. Was over at Wingfoot this morning, and it was very evident that he has a little load to the left, and that kind of triggers that shifting motion to the right. It's very dynamic.
Love that. And I think we see all the time, people get stuck over the ball, right? Whether they're thinking too many swing thoughts or just don't know how to get started. Right. And people would ask me all the time, I'm sure the same with you, what do I feel, right? Is it my shoulder that works back? Is it my hands that work back? Is it my feet or whatever? And so if someone wanted to start doing this, they say, okay, I get that idea. I kind of like that a little bit more dynamic. What's a starting point? Like, how do I get started with that?
Yeah, it's a good question. So as far as the median of the swing goes, I like to control everything by using my core. So in specific, more of the right side of my core. So as I get in there, I create some motion, create a little bit of a waggle. Once I create my little trigger left, I'm trying to use my right oblique, which at the end of the day is responsible for turning the trunk, and use that to kind of throw that club head back and away from the target. A lot of times people reference the shoulders, but the reason the shoulders never really click with me is because anatomically the shoulders externally rotate, they internally rotate, they flex and they extend, as well as abduct and adduct. Nothing in those anatomical terms says turn the trunk. Right. So that always threw me for a loop. So I'd always was trying to kind of figure that out, and it wasn't until I came across the concept of kind of understanding how to turn your core that led to this belief. So
in terms of feel-wise, if you're up there and we talk about, like, let's say pushing off the left, is it as simple for you as you feel more pressure into the lead side? Do you feel the entire body's moving a little bit forward before you do the movement back?
Yeah, good question. So when I'm up over the ball, I create a little bit of motion in my feet, a little bit of a rocking motion, okay? So once I feel that pressure under my left foot from the rocking motion, that's kind of my cue to actually push in the opposite direction.
Okay.
And then once that happens, it's a simultaneous sequence of doing that and using my core to kind of throw that club head back wide and away.
Yeah.
Which is another thing I know we've talked about, the wide and away. The reason that's a lot better for this pattern is because from my experience of working with players as well as myself, people who hinge it too early lack the trunk rotation. I don't know if you've kind of seen that as well.
Yes, yeah.
But so yeah, it's kind of a little bit of a waggle, land on the left, shift to the right, use that core to kind of throw that head back wide and away.
Yeah.
For me, the arms feel very passive as well.
Yeah, and I think that's from both a feel perspective and then a literal perspective of what good ball strikers would do, fairly evident, and we'll show some of this as we're talking. I think that that's pretty clear cut. Now, in terms of drills and feels, we're gonna take a pause for a second. I'd say there's really maybe two main drills and feels someone can utilize at home to be able to start to feel this on their own. All right, Josh, so let's talk drills and feels here to get started. And I think one of the ways we talked about as a starting point for someone to feel how they get off the ball, create some dynamic motion, what would be the first thing that they might do there?
Yeah, so the first thing I do is what I call a pump drill. So basically, and you can do this with or without a ball. We'll start without and kind of work into the ball.
Yep.
Is basically you're going to set up and basically start by kind of pumping your feet. And then in that motion of pumping, you'll see the club will actually start to swing. So what I do is I'll kind of go forward, let the club swing forward, rock to the right, rock to the left, rock to the right. And you can kind of see how that's creating a little bit of momentum or a swinging motion to kind of get that club head working back.
Yeah.
From there, you could actually evolve into the ball and do what I call a pump drill, which is also another variation without a ball you can do, to where you set up and then you actually kind of hover it up, you pump it forward, and then you turn back and hit it in motion. That's a little bit harder to do.
Yeah.
But even, like I said, without the ball, the idea of kind of pumping this forward and throwing the club back to the top is a great way to kind of understand how to get this thing started.
I think that's beautiful. And I think the second version we're going to do here too clarifies some of the pieces. One just little brief thing I want to add in, because I know when I have done this with people, everyone gets nervous about like moving off the ball.
Right.
Shifting. Right.
That's a big fear in the golfing world.
Huge fear. And we're going to talk more in our next video about kind of going from there and then coming back down. So like as someone does this dynamic piece, I think just for clarity, there's the pressure moving, there's some mass moving, but what we're going to talk about in the next one is sort of a recentering move, right?
And there is, just to clarify, there is a point where it's too much. So, you know, we don't want extreme movement. We want just enough to allow the sequencing to happen in the right order.
That's beautifully said. Let's take a break for a second, then we'll do the second drill. All right, Josh, so drill number 2, and this is another one that I saw on your Instagram page. You want to plug that quick, hip bombs, right? And now you were doing this with a med ball, right, with a weighted med ball, and so I think to preface this, like if someone had that or would get that, that might work best. I unfortunately didn't bring one with us for us here, but we do have a range bucket just to at least take the place to show the base movement. So as another way to show, hey, I want to train in, I want to get moving off the ball correctly, and I want to drill to do it. How would this one work?
Yeah, so I mean, even ideally, if you had a range bucket like this, put some balls in it to keep it weighted. Now they might fall out, but we won't worry about that. So the idea is the more weight you can feel, the more efficient your body will sequence it. So as we set up, okay, and you can kind of see, if I just start rocking, you can kind of see naturally how that bucket wants to swing. So when I load left, the bucket kind of follows my body back into the left, and that allows me to then push off and kind of get this thing swinging back to the right. So if we had a med ball, you could have a wall behind you. You can set up, kind of pump it forward, and then leverage your body to the right to then create more momentum. If you don't have that option, you could basically kind of get this and then pretend like you're going to throw it back.
And could I do that with Josh? Like if you took the bucket and held it like this way, and we're going to do it where I was here like this, and as I'm rocking, it's as if I'm going to throw, you know, like that, or a volleyball, something like that. Yeah, same sort of things if I had a wall back there and I just wanted an object in my hands that I could look back there, take this, and then get that throwing behind me. And if I take this and I bring a club in for a second, and we were to sort of transfer the same feels of this with the club in your hands, and you were going to do the same sort of pieces, is there sensations for you as if like quite literally like the med ball that you are like throwing the club back, something similar to that?
Oh yeah. I'm trying to use my body and the pressure shift to get the head swinging, because at the end of the day, this is a golf swing, and I think a lot of people forget that fundamental concept. So we gotta use these tools that we're given to get the head swinging back in the most efficient manner possible.
And I think a lot of us too, and we're guilty because we do so many takeaway videos of like getting the club set in the perfect spot. And if it's like an inch inside or outside the hands, I gotta like really drill this in. And you lose, like we talked about, the athletic motion early on that presets so much of the good that comes after, just naturally.
And I think to that point, I think a lot of those errors that we see on 2D film come from improper sequencing. So what happens is a lot of times if I see people get this sequencing correct and the motion correct, it will automatically clean up some club face issues, some club shaft alignment issues at P2. So
like you get some of that stuff for free.
Right, it comes without having to work for it. So.
I love that, Josh. I think that that's fairly straightforward to follow. I think for those that get stuck over the ball, whether it be too many swing thoughts, just not sure what to move first, the general idea of, I'll say, throwing or getting the club head going back and using your body to do so.
Specifically the core.
Specifically the core,
yeah.
And feeling the pressure in the feet as a sort of a rebounding to start the backswing. Not only do good players do it, but it's a really good thing to train in for those who aren't sure how to get started.
Right.
Yeah, so I love that. I think that that's killer. Hopefully you guys, that's pretty straightforward. You saw me hitting some balls, you saw Josh doing it. It's a super easy way to train your swing to be more dynamic. In the next video we do, that'll come out after this, we're gonna talk about what to do from there into the top and in transition. I really think as you guys watch the videos we'll do here, the pieces to the puzzle will come together. So be sure to watch that one after this. If you guys have any questions, as always, leave a comment down below. Hey guys, thanks for watching today's video. If you liked the video, do us a favor, click that like button down below. Really helps us get our videos out to more people so we can keep making videos for you guys here for free. Click that subscribe button down below if you haven't already. If you do like these YouTube style videos, and this in particular, we're gonna put a recommended video on the screen here for another YouTube style video. If you would like more coaching, we'll put a card on the screen for CogornoGolf.com. We'd love to see you there.